We're going live. All right, we good. Well,
V94.9 WATV. What's on your mind? There you go. Ah! What's on your mind? 9948949. What's on your mind? Be a part of the conversation right here with the Emmy Award winning Vital Show as we discuss COVID-19. What's on your mind about it? Like a lot has happened. A lot of people are talking. Everybody in the world is talking about it because we're all affected by it. So call in with your thoughts. You can comment over in our comment section if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you're on the B949 page, if you're on any of my pages, if you're on Sir Said's page, you can be a part of the conversation. So please join us and chat it up with us. Let us know how you feel about it. So while we anything else on COVID, while we give our callers time and our viewers and listeners time to be a part of the conversation. Hey Tegan.
It's almost over, y'all. Like I
well,
can, you know.
I will say, oh, go ahead, say it.
I mean, March was just here, and now we in December. Just hold down a little bit longer, and we can get some of our freedoms back.
You know
well,
my
and,
whole you be in the streets every day.
Like,
But I
everybody gonna get
digress.
a vaccine. Like, who gonna get ready? Why ready Eddie finna get a vaccine before some other people? So,
Did you
like,
have to get one to go to Hawaii?
uh-uh,
Okay.
no.
What you
But
have to do to go there? I
you gotta
remember.
take a You gotta take a test within 72 hours. Uh, Otherwise, when you get there, you gotta quarantine for 2 weeks. Hardcore. You cannot leave. They will call you and they will show up and check on you. Like that's they will check your Instagram. They check all your accounts. They've been picking people up
Yeah, I've been
for
reading
that.
it. Like they real strict, but I mean they contamination rate is like almost non-existent.
Hawaii is the only state right now that don't have increasing cases.
Yeah.
Every other state does. Hawaii is the only one that doesn't. But that's
You
why
gonna
I'm
wear a mask over there too? Tell the
got
truth.
to,
Oh, you got to.
got
Okay.
to. Like they've been putting in some hardcore restrictions. Like you can only go to the beach solo and hike solo in some instances, which ain't necessarily the safest thing to do. But like that's how hardcore they've gone. I mean, they just now recently opened it back up to tourism, where tourists couldn't even come over there.
Yeah,
Mm.
I remember
Yeah.
somebody got locked up for not staying quarantine or something they did.
Yeah, they come and
Don't
pick
play with
if
us.
you supposed to be quarantined for 2 weeks and they see your Instagram and you on the beach, they coming to get you because you got to get them an address before they release you from the airport.
See, now that's how you handle business, right?
Yeah.
Who would enforce that here?
But Hawaii having its own culture, like to bring a pet over there, it's a 4 month process because they've never had rabies on the island, and
Mm.
so it's a lot of stuff that they do to protect their culture that they gonna do,
That
because
says so much because clearly we don't care about ours because we ain't doing nothing to protect nothing.
We take
well,
our freedoms for granted by doing what we want to do. And freedom comes with a price and responsibility.
well, yeah. And one of the things I was just thinking about is when this first happened. I think when it started happening in March, I remember about May. We were remember we were getting different comments from people, and it's like, hey, I understand COVID's a real thing, but can y'all like? I feel like y'all need to talk about something else. Like COVID is like that was
What?
something like we need to talk, and here we are still talking about it because it isn't this thing that has gone away. I think a lot of people are going to be forced in situations where they're going to have to take the vaccine because there's no way around it. It's going to be mandatory for kids to. I don't see how it's not going to be mandatory for kids moving forward when they go to school, when they enroll in school, to have a COVID vaccination like they do would anything else on that blue
Right.
form.
Right, right,
So
right.
I think it's a lot of things that are going to change because of COVID, and there's going to be a lot of pushback because, like Blue said, you got 70 million people who voted for somebody who said this whole thing was a hoax in the first place. So now you're going to have people who are going to push back and say, this is an infringement upon my rights to make me get this vaccination or to tell me I can't do X because I don't have a vaccination. So you're going to see a lot of pushback. I mean, you're already seeing pushback in New York because they're starting to basically go back down on lockdown again, where they close down indoor dining. And you have a lot of restaurant owners that are upset about it. But this is once again, the failure of the government, because I think you could convince more restaurants and business owners to close down, to scale back their seating capacity and things of that nature if you're providing funding for them to make up that loss of revenue. The biggest problem now, why they're so adamant about not closing down and not reducing occupancy and, including indoor dining, is because they don't have another way of making money. You got these PPP funds that went to millionaires who did not need it for supposed to be going towards small businesses, and it went to multi-million-dollar corporations. What does Tom Brady need? What did Tom Brady's company need with those PPP funds? What did Kanye's company need with it? So it went towards people. So the help went towards people that it wasn't supposed to go to. So in large part, the United States, unlike other countries, has not provided for their citizens, has not provided for their business owners. You look at UK and you look at other countries where they have had no problem spending money on making sure people stay at home. If the government adequately funded this lockdown, we wouldn't be at the situation we are now.
Wow. 10 more minutes, because you mentioned that, when this thing first started and people were just starting to get sick and people were really like, oh, it's not real. I don't know anybody. Like, it took so long for people to know somebody that had gotten sick. And we were on top of the conversation. We have remained on top of the conversation as a show and as a radio station. We have not slipped when it came to talking about COVID, but there are other things that are happening. For our final 10 minutes here on the air tonight, the number of violent crimes, homicides in Birmingham, Alabama. So it's been so many, like, it's almost as soon as the police chief left the studio, the city just turned up. And every time you look around, there's somebody being shot and killed in the
Found in the
communities.
car,
Yeah,
dead.
just crazy. Body found across from the Platinum. The twins killed somebody in the street. And there's a lot of teenagers. There's a lot, like, what you I don't know. Like, what is the conversation that needs to be had about what's happening as far as that goes right now?
I just think it's hard for me to criticize because I used to rob and shoot. Um,
What
it
drives the behavior?
just to, I mean, I just wanted stuff. I was spoiled, and
Mm-hmm.
so when my grandma wasn't able to get for me like she did before, I was like, I'm gonna get it anyway. And so I think it's still in that area as far as they want to have it, but it's consumerism and just being fly and having this is so close to being or having a status or being somebody or being
Mm.
identified that kids will do whatever it takes for that identification. And I think that they don't, I was reading an article. A girl and a guy was going to sell two guys weed.
Mm-hmm.
The two guys started shooting at the girl and the guy, killed a girl who was just along for the ride, and one of the guys killed his friend shooting at them. So now you got two people dead. One charged with murder, and one. It's like they don't. I don't think they. It always starts off as something in their mind as being real simple. I'm just going to
Just
break
make,
in this car,
I'm gonna just make a quick play.
quick play, and then it goes
Ooh.
left. I'm finna go out here and fight him, but you start losing and you got a gun. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting
I'm gonna just
embarrassed.
I'm gonna just ride by.
Yeah, and so it's like I don't think like the accountability or the like. I can't say I was a smart gangster,
Yeah.
but I want to say I was because I kind of weighed the options a little bit
You had some
sometimes.
foundation.
Like I knew the consequences, but I don't think these guys really understand the consequences. I teach that class twice a week, and some of these guys just don't be really, you know, prison straight. Everything I can get out here, I can get in prison.
Uh,
And a guy actually said that, and another guy who had been to prison said, "Bro, it ain't nothing straight about prison." but it's just the perception that prison is. It's so
Baby,
many different variables, and like right now, the whole crime issue is lost in the vacuum right now. That ain't important because we got COVID.
so we watching it and it's being reported, but it's kind of like not pressing. Nobody's marching 100 steps because ain't no
Right,
vigils and all that because we got COVID.
right. And I mean, think about the people that I know four elderly ladies. One was washing dishes, and she was killed. Two were literally walking down the street and got caught in the crossfire.
Mm-hmm.
One was driving down the street and got. These are women who are 60+ years old.
Yep.
That hurt me so bad to know that you live 60+ years to die by some young teenagers' hand.
Man.
It's just the recklessness and just like it's just I don't know. When I tell you I used to think I had the whole answer to crime, now I think it's mutated into a virus that has no cure.
It's it, it's a symptom of a lot of different things that are really represented by how broken the black community is.
Mm-hmm.
And those things have been being cultivated for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah,
When I work with kids, that's a 16-year-old that got big problems. I make sure I tell the parent, look, you can't sit him in front of me at 16 and say fix him. You've been a part of 16 years worth of cultivating this child to where
Right.
they at.
Right.
And so our government and other cultures in America have been a integral part of cultivating how we are where we are. Except they're not interested at all in
And the
how to
solutions,
help
yeah.
themselves be a part of the solution in it and putting all of that accountability on us.
But even in the community, like the government plays its part. The bigger systems and institutions play their parts. But we get outside of ourselves and decide, well, hey, I'm gonna just move out of. I'm gonna move out of the hood. I'm gonna move away from them. I'm gonna take my children out of those schools. We're not gonna support that particular group of people. So we separate ourselves, and then we think that when we come back into a one time what a one time stop the violence rally that's gonna make some type of impact. When in essence you just made a small bill because you gave out hot dogs and chips and had some artists on the stage and rented a stage. Like you really made no impact. So I would say that I would be more I would be more excited about somebody actually saying, well, let's sit around and go door to door or go to the hood and have conversations and talk about what drives the behavior.
you got one
But
group of people that say every man for himself, and you
Yeah.
got another group that's saying I'm gonna do is what I feel will help me feel better about what's going on, and so I'll do this, and they ought to be happy and grateful because nobody else is doing it, but I'll do. And those are
Mm,
the people who show up on a Saturday or Sunday and serve, and then go back to their areas as if that one, like you said, Eddie, they like one Saturday a month is gonna suffice for 16 years of rape and abuse and neglect and starvation and you know what I'm saying, illiteracy. Like it just doesn't go away. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, we got failing kids in failing schools with failing mentalities coming from failing families in the middle of failing economies with failing infrastructures. And we got people over in Hoover saying, why can't they do better? And then we look at ourselves because every time I had this conversation about the government and the systems that, people always say, but what about us? Well, we in the middle of quicksand. People always talk about the crabs in a barrel, but hey, a barrel ain't a natural habitat for a crab.
that kind of sounds like it's no solution there.
I
I,
don't think it's no
well,
solution. That's why I'm so invested in politics at the moment because the solution ain't now. We don't have a solution tomorrow, but we got to put in structures that will become the solution tomorrow because we got to get somebody that put enough emphasis on the
I agree.
economy in the black community,
I agree.
enough emphasis on the infrastructure in the black community, enough emphasis on schools being passing schools in the black community, families having the right messages and opportunities to obtain jobs and employment in the black community. It got to start somewhere. And we can't create those opportunities because, from what you said, like when we do get a chance to create it, we leave.
Yeah.
And so there's bigger systems that have to do it. I think that we need to encourage the youth right now to become invested enough in their community to be able to say, I'm going to impact this community somehow, instead of encouraging them to leave, or leave and come back or whatever they need to do. But we need the community to
make some type of
participate
investment. Yeah.
in creating these structures that can help, instead of allowing the ones that hurt to just exist and perpetually become what's going to be a violent community, like Blue was talking about.
Sir, say what you got.
Um, I think the biggest thing that I heard is that we are good at events, but we fail at programming. Um, so we come in and we have these one-time events, one-time annual events where back to school drives and we're getting backpacks and haircuts and we're doing, Thanksgiving drives, we're doing Christmas drives, but it's nothing there's nothing in between that builds on the character, builds on the foundation of the individual. So we give them band-aids. We know in a poverty stricken area, you work so hard. So we know you need some relief for the holidays. So let's give you a meal. Let's give you some toys. Let's give you some school supplies. Now we can give you school supplies to begin the year, but when you come back off of winter break and going to need those supplies replenished, we're nowhere to be found because we're not in the community. We come in and we do an event and then we get out, as opposed to setting up a program. We do a lot of lip service, and something that stands out in the back of my mind was, I think it was sometime beginning of last year or late in 2018 when it was announced, or excuse me, late 2019, it was announced that, public health officer came out with the mayor of Birmingham, and they said, youth violence is a public health crisis. It's a public health crisis, and we're here to declare it a public health crisis. What programming has gone into addressing this public health crisis? What grants have been petitioned for? What money has been sought after to do something about this public health crisis? It was an event to declare it a public health crisis. It's programming that makes it not a public health crisis or starts the process of dealing with this public health crisis. So we got to stop slapping labels and being satisfied with events and, oh man, we did a good job. Look at the smiles on their faces. You know how many toys we got? You saw how many backpacks? Not despiting that and saying that's a bad thing, but it's got to be more than just these one-time events.
This poor church ain't doing that, and we did this.
Yeah.
Right.
All of that. All of that.
What did you say, Blue? I missed that last
They'll
comment.
say, well, this church ain't doing this, or this organization ain't doing this, and it's because they're poor. They can't. They make up the people that you're serving, and so they don't have the resources or finances to do the things that you do. So I mean, it's just like, I mean, just like I said. And then when they do get grants, they'll go pay somebody who has absolutely no clue as to what's going on in the community, 6 figures, to do absolutely nothing.
Right. And Blue, that brings me that even reminds me of a point. Even when you're talking about the political scene, I was talking to somebody earlier and they were talking about not a lot of outside on the ground supporters coming in, because Stacey Abrams has been on national talk shows saying, don't come to Georgia. Like, if you're not already here, not already doing work, don't come to Georgia. Well, she's saying that is because what happens is people who don't look like us, typically when they smell a win or opportunity for them to infuse themselves, they come into communities that don't look like them and tell those communities how they should vote, what they should do, how they should operate, how you should organize. So you push the people who are on the ground out the way in favor of, well, we have the money and we have this, that, and the third, as opposed to, like Blue was saying, you find those churches, you find those organizations that are in the community, in the ground, know the people who the people trust, fund them. And through them, they can do the work and you can still take the credit if you want to, because you funded that church and empowered that church or that community organization to be able to help the community. Now the community has more faith in that community organization because they're seeing them doing the work. So if it's not about having your name on the banner and getting all the credit, fund these community organizations and these poor folks, or these poor organizations and poor churches that actually in the community have a heart for the community and know the community as opposed to telling them to move out the way because you got the big bucks and you know what to do.
Mm-hmm. All right. So you're hearing some solutions. I mean, we know what the problems are. We know we've discussed all of it with like in 5 minutes. The other part of it is who's listening. That's the other part. So like we can talk about it. We can do what we do all the time.
Unfortunately, if you don't have, it's the flip side. If you don't have money or resources or the connections, then you disconnected,
Right.
and so it goes to deaf ears almost.
So we do know that like we are connected to the community. I mean, we
Right.
got an invite from the Birmingham police chief, from the mayor of the city of Birmingham to work with them. My only thing about working with people is like really having a plan and knowing what are we doing? You
And
know, what are we
resources.
doing, right? And the resources. So let's keep wrapping our minds around that. Not wait too late. I just don't see half of Birmingham being dead before we come up with some type of solution. But we definitely see what the problem is. So we're gonna keep our minds wrapped around it. You all can contribute to that conversation. Help us figure out some answers, some solutions. You know, help us. So you can email me directly. I am Lady Wu at Yahoo. I am Lady Wu at Yahoo. Vital Show on social media. Lady Wu on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Watch Wu work. I'm reachable. I'm here every day. I can call up here, stop by, whatever. I'm here. All right. So we've talked about COVID. We've talked about crime. Now we talk about Christmas. Lady Wu's 12 Days of Christmas featuring the Vital Show. I love a party. I love festiveness. I love happiness. I love music, drinks, clothes, food, laughing. I love it. And I know that my people love it too. And I know that COVID-19 has really made it difficult for us to like separate the fact that we can't be together, but or from the fact that we can be together, we still can kick it. And we're gonna do it virtually, of course, with the 12 days of Christmas. Tomorrow kicking us off with swag and sweaters. So like ugly sweaters, that's I mean, that's neither here. Yeah, everybody does that. We're gonna get cute and we're gonna dress up and we're going to take pictures and post them on social media. So tomorrow kicks off the 12 days. It's 12 days until Christmas. So I'm expecting a selfie and I want you to go post it on Lady Wu on Facebook. Get your folk, get cute, take a picture, boom. There will be prizes. The best and brightest, the cutest. You will get more gear, more swag, and possibly some other stuff. Okay. But I need to see those. I gotta see the pictures. So tomorrow, hashtag swag and sweaters. Take your picture, post it with that hashtag to Lady Wu, and we'll decide who shall win. Pretty easy, right? There's some other days coming up where we'll be Christmas caroling. So if you can sing, I'll be coming to you. You'll be singing. If you have Christmas socks, we'll be doing socks. We'll be doing hats. I mean, we got all types of stuff lined up. You got 12 days to get yourself together. Okay. Anything else before we go? Tegan, you got anything, baby? You want to say something? Yes. It's like, girl, stop. Okay, I'll leave you alone. You're just so adorable. Thanks, Courtney, for always putting. Oh yes, hey there. Always putting her
Yeah, she is so
in.
cute.
Thank
So
you for
smart.
that smile, Tegan. So for those of you watching on Facebook, you can see our beautiful vital baby. That's a gift in itself. So, what else is happening? Any other announcements this week? Anything to look out for?
If you are in the state of Georgia and watching us, early voting starts tomorrow. It runs
Hey,
to the end through about the end of the year. So yeah, if you are in the state of Georgia or you know somebody in the state of Georgia, tell them to go ahead and start. They can start voting tomorrow. So it's a lot at stake with this Georgia election on January 5th.
okay.
I want to have, if I can borrow Marlisia's motivation thing, I just want to leave people with something saying, do not be weary and well doing, for in due season you shall reap a harvest. And that's you don't have to be a Christian, whatever. Just keep doing what you're doing, putting out good stuff, and in due time, you will get what you put out there. So just keep doing your thing. Keep
Amen.
keep moving to
Amen, bro.
Hawaii. You know what
I
I'm
need that, man.
That's for us. What Eddie said earlier,
Lean
lean
into
in.
it.
saying? Lean into
Lean
it.
in, yeah. Lean into it.
All right, so that's your
Yeah.
tip for the week. Lean into it, be motivated. Be vital. Every day I close out my daytime shift with be vital. Be vital means be essential. Be a part of the bigger picture in your own way. And that vital gear, wear that. If you want some of it, hit me up
I
for it as
got
well. All right,
ready.
and I love it too. I need purple and old gold. I like that. So yeah, check us out on social media all throughout the week, all types of posts, all types of stories. Just a good time. We have a good time. Be a part of the good time. If you don't have an account, don't want to be on Facebook, you can like a page and not have an account. So go and like Vital Show and just kind of follow us there. like Lady Wu. Follow me there. You don't even have to be on social media to do that. We're out of your way. I'll talk to you guys at 10 o'clock in the morning for the Lady Wu's Midday Groove with the Woo for You Our Request Hour at 12 and Motivation on Mondays. I think I'm going to just let Blue handle that since he already did it today. You have a good night. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye. See y'all later.